There is so much to check when buying a used caravan, from the onboard systems and the running gear and to the furniture and fittings. Using an AWS-approved engineer to perform a pre-purchase inspection is the safest way to understand what issues the caravan may have before you make that purchase. This video highlights just some of the hundreds or so items that they check as part of this pre-purchase inspection. So let's make a start.
So our very first point is nothing to do with the caravan, but everything to do with the paperwork which is supplied with the caravan. We need to make sure we've got the caravan's owner manual and all the installed items on the caravan, and that means the heating, the hot water, the fridge, the cooker, all the security items which have been installed on the caravan, including the alarm and the tracker, and if you've got one, a motor mover. In fact, every single thing which is installed in the caravan will have a document of some description, right down to the smoke alarm. We also need to check for make sure we've got all documentation for the caravan service history, and that will include the service sheet and, if possible, any receipts for payments made. And the last thing to check is that we've got the CRIS certificate, the registration document with the current owner's details listed upon it. Okay, so now we need to look at the caravan body. With visual inspection, walking around the caravan, and what we're looking for is for dents, chips and missing paint. We need to check the front panel for cracks, especially above the window and grab handles. If it looks a bit dirty, use a soft rag to just pull out the dirt. We need to be looking for stickers or reflectors that look out of place. Usually these are placed upon the caravan to hide damage. We also need to check the windows. We need to check for the cracks or broken corners. Deep scratches will need attention. Light scratches we can polish out. One area that often gets overlooked is the tyres, and there's a couple of things that we can do to make sure that we are riding on safe rubber. First of all, we need to check the age of the tyre, and we're looking for DOT and then 4 numbers printed on the sidewall of the tyre. For example, DOT 3409 tells us that this tyre was manufactured on week 34 back in 2009. Caravan tyres don't usually wear out, but they do crack, especially on older tyres. So it's generally recommended to replace tyres that are between 5 and 7 years of age. Visually, we need to check the condition of the tyre, has no cracks, bulges or cuts. If there is any damage on the tyres, they will need replacing before we tow it. Another thing to check is to make sure that each tyre is the same make and the same size. This will give an indication of a previous puncture. Whilst we're down on our knees, make sure that wheel secure can fit in place, it has all the keys to remove it, and it's not damaged in any way, shape or form. Okay, so on to the road lights, the battery and the gas. Now your caravan may not have a leisure battery installed, it may not have a gas bottle, but these are important elements to check. So ask the seller if you can borrow a battery, if they have a gas bottle which you can temporarily use to make sure that everything is working. At the front of the caravan, we need to make sure that the plugs for the electrics are in good working order. Make sure that the plugs themselves are not damaged, that there's no tape holding them together, and that the pins don't look corroded. Check the general condition of the cable, make sure it's not being dragged across the floor. If it has been dragged on the floor, pay close attention to it and make sure that none of the core strands are exposed. The road lights will need close inspection, so connect a towing vehicle and check that all the lights are working, and check the lenses for cracks and moisture buildup inside the light. If your caravan is sold with a leisure battery, check that the battery terminals are free of corrosion and that the battery looks in good working order as well. Make sure there's no bulges or any splits. Moving to the gas locker, we need to check the date stamp on the gas pipe. The small gas pipe, commonly known as a gas tail, will have a date printed upon it, and this should be under 5 years of age. If it isn't, don't panic, it's an easy thing to replace. The last thing to check outside the caravan is the hitch, the chassis and the floor. So get on your hands and knees and get underneath the caravan. We're looking for any corrosion on the chassis rails. Caravans these days have galvanised chassis, so there should be no drilled holes. If there is, there's likely to be corrosion, so pay close attention. Using a torch, check for any cracks or splints in the wooden floor, especially around the edges. Check that there's no cables or fixings that are loose underneath the caravan. At the hitch, make sure that the breakaway cable has no splits, no frayed ends and has no damage to either length of the cable. If it does, this will need replacing before we tow it. This is a legal requirement. Visually check the hitch for obvious signs of damage, bends or dents, and also check all the corner steadies to make sure they operate smoothly, winding up and down. Right, it's finally time to step inside the caravan, and the first thing we need to do is trust our nose. Take a good sniff of the air inside the caravan. Does it smell musty? Does it smell damp? Trust me, the nose is a good indication of the condition of the caravan. Check around each of the windows and look for stains caused by water. Use a damp meter if you've got one to perform a damp check around any holes in the caravan. When I mean holes, I mean cutouts like windows, doors, lockers. Check for the reading below 20% on a dry day. Use a torch and look under the beds, in the seating areas, in the dark corners where you can't really see too well. Check for signs of mould or damp. Sit in each of the seats, check that they haven't collapsed and make sure the seat pads are not flat and they haven't lost any of their bounce. Open every locker, door and cupboard, make sure that they're smooth operation and that they close properly. An area in the caravan which you really should spend a lot of time making sure that everything works is the kitchen appliances. So we're going to check the overall condition of the fridge and the freezer, check for bad smells and make sure there's no mould build-up as well. On the cooker, check the hob igniter works. Check each gas ring, make sure it holds a steady blue flame. If it doesn't hold a blue flame, turn it off immediately. Check the grill, light it and make sure it stays lit. And finally, we're going to do exactly the same thing on the oven. Make sure that it lights, stays lit, and then it's got a steady blue flame and there's no flickering. And finally, make sure that the overall condition of the worktops in the kitchen is in good working order, and then any sealant which is used down the back of the worktops is in good condition. Now it's on to the heating, the hot water and the cold water, and we're going to need to ask the seller if we can turn the heating on to see if it's working correctly. First of all, check that there's no errors on the control panel, and if it's a blown air heating, check for heat coming out of the vents around the caravan. But if it's the outer wet heating system, you can check for the pump noise from the expansion tank and usually see the fluid bubbling away. Check that the hot water is available from the kitchen, the washroom and the shower head. Look at the kitchen sink, check for cracks or leaks around the plug hole, and also check the washroom basin for cracks around the bowl as well. At the furnace, check around the outside, check for leaks or signs of water damage, use a torch to check down the back, and listen to the water pump if it's external or the internal one, and check for strange rattles or vibrations. But be warned, some of the internal pumps can be a little bit noisy. Now we're on to the power sources, and we need to check that the 230 volts electric is working. So check all the outlets are working by plugging in a small device such as a lamp or a fan. Check that the battery voltage changes when the electric hookup is plugged in, and this will confirm that the battery charger is operational. Check all the lights, the LED lighting, the reading lamps and the downlighters, that they all work. If you find anything not working in the caravan, have a look at the fuse board, see if that's in good working order, and pull each fuse individually and examine, make sure it hasn't blown. Now it's on to the installed accessories. Your caravan may not have any of these accessories installed, but if they do, hopefully this checklist will help. First of all, the motor mover. Ask the seller to demonstrate the motor mover, ask them to show you how it works, and move the caravan backwards and forward, left and right. You can also check to make sure it's working correctly by disengaging the rollers and listening for any rattles or knocks whilst the rollers are rotating. If you've got a solar panel installed, visually check it for any damage. Make sure that there's no cracks or knocks to the edges of the solar panel, and also make sure that the cable is free of damage as well. Have a go at using the TV antenna. Some of them are directional, which means you need to rotate them around. Make sure that the amplifier works by switching it on and making sure it lights up correctly. Finally, check the radio can receive FM, DAB, AM, CD, auxiliary, all the modes that are set out on the radio. Make sure it works and it sounds nice without distortion. Finally, the security items. Depending on what your caravan is being sold with, it may or may not have any security items being sold with it. But if it does, make sure that the hitch lock is operational, check that the lock is working, and make sure you've got all the keys for it as well. Make sure all the keys are present for all the security items around the caravan. And finally, if the caravan does have an alarm and a tracker, see if you can set the alarm off by stepping inside the caravan whilst it's armed.
That's it for now. We hope you have found this video useful. Check out the other help and advice videos in the services on our website. And while you're there, why not join the UK's fastest growing caravan and motorhome community? We offer great membership perks, including live chat support with an engineer for specialist and emergency advice. Hope to see you soon. Happy caravanning.